Good morning, and please may I welcome everyone to this virtual meeting of the West of Waterlooville Forum. The time is, well, now it is actually 5 minutes past 11 on Tuesday, the 3rd of November. This is a Winchester City Council meeting held under the new regulations which came into effect on the 4th of April 2020 in response to the COVID-19 situation. My name is Councillor Angela Clear, Chairperson of the Forum. There are a few housekeeping reminders to run through as there are new working practices in response to the regulations. First of all, please can I ask everyone present in this virtual meeting that your microphones remain muted and your camera is turned off whilst you are not addressing the meeting, as this will reduce background noise and avoid any unintentional disturbances. Please may I also advise that this meeting is being audio recorded and live streamed from the Council's website, and a video recording of the meeting will be uploaded onto the Council's YouTube channel after the meeting, where it can be found next to the meeting's details, where the recording will remain thereafter. Members and officers, where appropriate for each item, please use the chat function of the meeting to indicate that you wish to speak or to raise a point of order or explanation, and then I will invite you to speak at the appropriate time. Each member will be invited to speak in turn. Therefore, I would encourage, please, all members to keep your contributions as clear and concise as possible, please. And when speaking and referring to the presentation, please make sure that you reference the page, if that is appropriate, or the paragraph number. Finally, if members wish to leave the meeting at any point, could they please make themselves known to me through the chat function, and I will announce to the meeting that you are to leave. Before we move on to the business of the meeting, I wanted to update you all on a number of changes that have taken place in the City Council since we last met. Steve Tilbury, who was the Strategic Director at the City Council and had supported the Forum for many years, left the council in September, and hopefully, you never know, Steve might be tuning in this morning, and I'd like to formally thank him for his efforts on behalf of the Forum. Steve's role on the Forum is being taken over by Julie Pinnock, the City Council's service lead for the built environment, and we welcome you here today, Julie. And I know that Julie's keen to support the work of the Forum going forward. I'd also like to acknowledge that we haven't met as a Forum since March this year. Then in the summer, local authority resources were focused on the pandemic, so our summer meeting unfortunately was also cancelled. However, I know that officers have kept in touch with the parish council and the residents. And please may I now ask the Democratic Services officers to undertake a roll call of members of the Forum to confirm who is present this morning. So Dave, may I ask you please to do that? Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Councillor Clear. First of all, can I go through the Winchester City Council councillors? And first of all, yourself, Councillor Clear as chair.
Yep, present.
Councillor Brooke. Councillor Brooke. Councillor Cutler.
I'm present.
Thank you. Councillor Reid.
Present.
Havant Borough councillors. Councillor Mill. Councillor Patel.
Present.
Thank you. I have apologies from Councillor Robinson and Councillor Wade. Hampshire County Councillors, Councillor Hughes.
Good morning, present.
Yes, good morning. I have apologies from Councillor Stallard and Councillor Briggs. For the Parish Council of Newlands, I understand that David Crichton will join the meeting a little later than the start, and we have apologies from Councillor Berry as well. Thank you, Chair. That's for the councillors that are present within the meeting. I've also got online today Councillor Deputy Members for Winchester, Councillor Evans as well.
Thank you so much.
Would you like me to inform you of the officers that are in the meeting as well?
If you would, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. For Winchester City Council, we have Julie Pinnock, who's a service lead for Winchester City Council. We have Chris Hughes, the Major Development Team Leader, Mark Maitland, Community Engagement Officer, and also myself, David Shaw from Democratic Services, and Nancy Graham, also from Democratic Services. And from Havant Borough Council, we have Louise Weaver, Steve Weaver, and Katie Bone. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Appreciated. So I will now move into the agenda items, and the first agenda item is apologies for absence. Dave, I think you've covered them all. If not, are there any others, please?
Thank you, Chair. I've not heard from Councillor Brooke. We do have Councillor Evans as a deputy member who is present within the meeting. And at this stage, unless Councillor Brooke joins, perhaps Councillor Evans could join the meeting as a full member. And as I say, I have apologies from Havant Borough Council, from Councillor Robinson and Councillor Wade, Hampshire County Council, Councillor Stallard and Councillor Briggs, and also apologies from Parish Council of Newlands, Councillor Berry. Thank you again, Chair.
Appreciated. Thank you so much. Item agenda 2, declarations of interest. If there are any declarations of interest to be made regarding the business to be transacted this morning, could you please use the chat function now to indicate, and I will invite you to speak. Are there any declarations of interest, please?
Chairman, I have my hand up because I have no chat facility.
Councillor Reid, thank you. Yep,
Councillor
Reid, thank you.
Just to note that, as well as obviously being a ward member for the Denmead ward, I'm also a parish councillor on Newlands Parish Council.
Thank you so much. And before we continue, Councillor Evans, please.
Yes, Chair, I heard what Dave Shaw said. I am happy to step in as a full member. However, I wasn't asked to be a deputy. I'm just here out of interest.
Yep.
And I do have another commitment at 12:30. So if you'd like me to join the meeting as a full member, I'm happy to do that, but I will have to leave at 12:30.
Councillor Evans, you picked me to the post because I was just going to come in and say we should really ask Councillor Evans if she's prepared to come in as a full member, because she hasn't actually been asked. I'm quite happy, Councillor Evans, if you wish to stay and be a deputy, I would appreciate it, but it's up to you. Is that all right with you?
Yes, I'll do that, Chair, but if you don't mind me leaving at 12:30.
No. Thank you so much, Councillor Evans. Appreciated.
Chairman, just to
Yes.
remind that the membership of this committee is all members of the Winchester City Council in Wickham and Southwark Ward, as well as Denmead Ward, and obviously one of those is going to be a deputy.
So, yes.
Format of the committee for many years.
Okay, Councillor Reid. Yep. Councillor Cutler, did you wish to speak?
No,
Okay.
I didn't. Sorry, I must have accidentally turned my camera back on. My apologies.
Okay, thank you. So, Dave, I take it there are no more declarations of interest on this one. So, please may I move to item 3, appointment for Vice Chair for the municipal year 2020-21. I know it's a bit late, but we need a Vice Chair, please, from the Havant members. Do we have Anyone, please? Dave, anybody?
Chair, as the only have a member present in the meeting is Councillor Patel, perhaps he may be interested in joining us as Vice Chairman for the meeting.
Councillor Patel, may I ask you to be Vice Chair for this meeting?
I'm more than happy to be the Vice Chair of the meeting.
Lovely. Most kind. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. The minutes are on page 7 to 10 of the agenda pack. And it is recommended. I'm so sorry, but I appear to be echoing. Is there something not quite? Dave, there seems to be a problem.
I can hear the echo certainly for it.
Chairman, if I may, Therese here. I
Yes.
think it's because not everybody has got their microphone on mute. That's happened to me in the past. So
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Councillor Evans. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure your microphones are on mute and your cameras are off unless you are asked to speak. It would be appreciated. Thank you. So going back to the minutes on page 7 to 10 of the agenda pack, it is recommended that the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 10th of March be approved as a true and accurate record. Should no member object? If you do, ladies and gentlemen, would you please unmute your microphone and state the nature of your objection or your correction, if there are any, please? I don't believe there are, so thank you so much. Item 5, public participation. I don't appear to have received any names for public participation. Is that correct, Dave, please?
Yes, yes, Chair, you are correct. We've heard no outside registration for members of the public to speak at this meeting. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much. So moving on, I will go straight to business item 6, progress on the West of Waterlooville MDA. Julie or Chris, would you like to kick us off with that one, please?
Chair, yes, thank you. Firstly, apologies to members for the lack of a written report. As some members are aware, I had a bereavement in my family a couple of weeks ago, which is the time when I was meant to be writing the report. So unfortunately, I was in Scotland when that was meant to be submitted, so I wasn't able to submit one. This is actually my first full day back today, so with the Chair's permission, I may call on some of the other members present at the meeting, Asim and Jenny from Granger and Katie from Havant Borough Council in particular, who may wish to add a bit of update into what's going on. I think most members have had the list of items that David Crichton suggested circulated to them. Obviously, we'd hoped David might be joining us fairly soon. The first item on his list is the Wellington Park road adoption. I'm afraid I don't have an update on that. David, I know, is quite close to Kevin Mitchell, who's the adoption manager for Taylor Wimpey. So hopefully when he joins us, he'll be able to provide an update. One thing that he's asked me about previously and is on his list is the replacement of signs in Wellington Park to have the Winchester logo on them. I'm not quite sure why they weren't put up with the Winchester logo on, as is the standard across the Winchester district, but they weren't. David did ask me to investigate whether it could be a requirement of Hampshire County Council for them to be changed before the roads are adopted. I can confirm that Hampshire County Council, I'll put it politely, aren't particularly bothered what road signs are up as long as there are road signs. So we can't force the developer to change them. My personal opinion is that it may look slightly strange, particularly on roads that cross both into Havant and Winchester, to have two different road signs where you're moving from one district into the other. I'm not sure that promotes community cohesion in any way. but the confirmation is that Hampshire County Council won't make the developer change them. I can see there might be a question there, Chair, so shall I just pause at that point?
Absolutely, thank you. Yes, questions? Dave, any?
Yes, please, Chairman.
Yes, Mike, carry on, thank you.
The reason, so I'll put the camera on. The reasons for the road signs were very simple. It's a joint venture, and to make life easier, not, shall we say, less confusing for the general public, people like to know if they're in Winchester or they're in Havant. At the moment, there is no way of telling. This is something that we did as a forum many, many years ago, and it would appear that there's been a change of management at the sign making area who was unaware of this. Now, this is obviously going to happen also in the Whiteley development where they share boundaries with Fareham. So the whole reason is to make it more helpful to the general public. And I know we haven't got a way of persuading the signs to be remade, but can we ensure that any new signs are made in accordance with the way of which this forum agreed many years ago? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Chris, I think that's a fair comment. Would you like to give us more of a comment on that, please?
I don't think I can, Chair. I mean, to be honest, I'm not totally sure if the responsibility for the road signs lies with the county council when the roads are adopted, or they remain with the district. I'd have to look into that, to be honest. But I'm happy to take that away and look into it. And just for clarification, the entirety of North Whiteley is in the Winchester district, so all of those signs will be Winchester signs.
Yeah. Councillor Reid said it's in the district. Yes, Councillor Evans.
Chair, I do know that the road signs are the responsibility of the City Council because one of the officers lives up my road. And I do think it's a great pity if we don't have the crest on the roads, which is what our normal practice is. And I can't understand how this has been allowed to happen, but it is directed by the City Council. We sort out the naming of the roads and the road signs as well. It's not Hampshire.
Yeah, Councillor Evans is correct, Chris, and also Councillor Reid said it's district. So may I leave that and ask you to check on that, please?
I can, Chair. What happens when there's a new development is we instruct the developers about what the road names are going to be, and we also give them the specifications for what the sign should look like. For whatever reason, well before my time, that wasn't adhered to. So I'm not sure what whose responsibility it will be going forward. It sounds like it's Winchester City Council's, and I'm sure Winchester City Council as the district will, when they replace road signs, use the correct ones.
Thank you very much. Any more, please, Dave? I think.
Yes, Councillor Patel would like to comment.
Oh, Councillor Patel, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Did we not discuss this at a couple of meetings back then? Said we were not going to distinguish between Winchester Council signs and Havant Council signs and the other
Councillor Patel, I'm so sorry, but we did not really catch what you said.
I'm sorry. Is that any better?
Not really. It's very faint.
You know what I can do? Can you hear me now?
Try for it.
Okay. I'm saying, did we not discuss this a couple of meetings back, saying we would not keep any signs to say it's a Winchester side or it's a Havant side or it's the other council side, but it can leave the crest out of it?
Chris, did you catch that?
Chair, I think the matter that we discussed was having welcome to Winchester signs. I think that's something that David Crichton mentions on. Steve Tilbury is quite strong in his opinion that that wasn't an appropriate thing to have in the middle of a housing estate, moving along one street between two areas. I think that as Councillor Reid has mentioned, the road signs might be a different matter, but I think the matter that we discussed previously was the welcome to Winchester or welcome to Havant signs throughout the area.
Councillor Hughes, did you raise your hand?
Chairman, good morning, or Chairperson, good morning. No, I've not raised my hand. Christopher Hughes has this, I think.
I apologise then, sir.
Well, I'm very happy to participate in this conversation if you wish me to, but at the moment it seems like you're sorting it all out by yourself, so I'm very happy.
Okay, thank you, sir. Right, Chris, I don't appear to have any more, so if you would like to continue, that would be fine.
Thank you, Chair. At this point, I may call on colleagues from Granger, Jenny and Asim, if they'll be willing to give an update on things from the Granger end. That would be great.
Thank you. Yes, that's fine. So who's coming in first, please? Jenny?
Hello, hi, it's Asim Kayani. I'm the development manager.
Right, over to
Granger.
you, sir. Thank you.
Hi, just to give you an update in terms of the overall development at Beerwood, part of the west of Waterlooville. We've had a number of planning applications that have been submitted to do with the community nature reserve. A sports pavilion in terms of the cricket pitch will be going in shortly, as well as a town park for phase 2. In terms of the infrastructure works, there's ongoing works at the River Wellington, which is looking for completion in the next couple of weeks or so. The College Road works, section 278 works have been completed. River restoration to be completed by the end of November. Phase 9 play park, which is just behind the Red Row, phase 9, is expected to be completed end of this year. Western Link Road, which is part of the site, is planned to be commencing in spring 2021. And at Stakes Hill Roundabout, also we're in a negotiation or in consultation with Hampshire County Council on the roundabout works to start in spring 2021. In terms of other works, we've been in discussion with the health centre and are currently looking at the site for the 3 surgeries to come together, and also to look at the heads of terms for that. In terms of the next phases, we're looking to market those in the next 3 to 6 months. We've also been looking at giving the site a bit more of an identity, and rather than have phase numbers, Jenny's been working on branding the site and giving it specific names for each phase related to this, the kind of history of the site and what's been on site. Overall, I guess we've been engaging with residents as work's been progressing. We've had some events which haven't, as well as ourselves, have been engaged in the community aspect into the Halloween food collection, and also we're looking to do also all dependent on lockdown and other issues that we all have to work within a lantern trail along the River Wellington once it's all completed. That's in a nutshell, that's an update from us here.
Thank you so much. I know Councillor Cutler has raised his hand to ask a question. Could I just say once again, if you wish to ask a question, please use the chat function. I would appreciate it. Councillor Cutler, over to you.
Sorry, I hadn't realised that I had done. I'm surprised that I have done. But I have, I mean, Jennifer has been in touch with me about the naming element of things. I do think it is quite important that some of the historical names of the copses and woodlands are used as the Beerwood site develops, and so I will investigate with Southwark Estate the details of of some of those historic names and get the information to her.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Cutler. Appreciated. Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Chairman. Just like Councillor Cutler, I know when roads were redeveloped in the Denmead area alone, that we went for historic titles. It would be a shame to lose some of the historic names around the locality, so would fully support the use of historic names where appropriate.
Lovely. Many thanks. I appreciate it and I agree with you. Thank you. Dave, any more for questions, please?
Yes, Councillor Hughes.
Councillor Hughes, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would type in the text, but I'm not able to at the moment. It says I'm only restricted to members. Thank you very much for the update. The question I have is regarding College Road adjustments, which would appear to be very successful. There was initial issues, but however, I'd see another note was going up saying they're going to close for 5 nights, which seems rather strange. Bear in mind, it was just recently be opened. Are they able to shed any reason as to why it's closing for 5 nights?
Anyone? Chris, do you wish to take this or?
No, Chair, sorry, I'm not aware of that. I'll look into it.
Thank you. I'm so sorry, Councillor Hughes. I can't come back with an adequate answer for you.
No,
we will look into it.
Absolutely fine. It just seems strange that advance notification for another 5 nights of closure. And I said it's been really successful. Initial adjustments where people were in the wrong lane and etc. But it's working really well now.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciated. Any more, Dave? If not, I'll ask Chris if he wishes to continue, or Jenny, if she wishes to speak.
Chair, there's no messages on chat. No, can I see any hands raised now?
Okay,
Thank you.
many thanks. Thank you. Jenny, did you wish to give us an update, please?
No, it's just what Asim said. I would just be echoing him.
Okay, lovely. So, Chris, is there any more you'd like to mention, please, this morning?
A couple of things, if you don't mind, Chair.
Yeah, please do.
The next point on David Crichton's list is the implementation status. As everyone is aware, the construction industry is under particular pressure at the moment, and the lockdown has created severe financial difficulties for many of them. Granger has confirmed that there is no funding for an implementation officer or indeed any kind of planning support at Winchester going forward. My funding package for Cala, the Kings Barton development, has changed slightly. That combination means that I won't be able to attend any further implementation or any further forum meetings, and indeed I'll be stepping back from dealing with implementation matters. Julie Pinnock may wish to talk a little bit about what that means for the overall context, and what that means for the forum as well, perhaps. But I thought I'd like to make members aware that this will be my last forum meeting. And Julie may wish to add to that.
Well, thanks, Chris. Yes, Julie, may I ask you, would you like to add on this, please, for members?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. I think, as Chris said, moving forward, what we've had in the past, and we've got it with a couple of other of our larger major development areas, we've had a funded officer by the developer, and that helps both them and us in terms of, you know, that quick reaction, that long-term expertise, knowledge, facilitating meetings like this with the forum, and that networking role, really. So in terms of that not being funded anymore, what we'll find is, and I had a chat with my counterpart at Havant this morning, is that when we get applications, whether that's in Winchester or Havant, then they will go into the planning officer pot for one of our planning officers to pick up and deal with. I don't think we've got anything new on the books at the moment. I know we talked about when Town Park application might come forward and some of the next phases, and we'll have to deal with those as they come in the normal course of our planning work. And I think that's just something but worth sort of the forum bearing in mind that both Winchester and Havant will have to pick up that work in our normal day of life, rather than one dedicated officer working across both councils, which is what Chris and historically his counterpart Katie did before that. And I suppose that, Chairman, puts in mind the next question really, with the move now to a dedicated, the Newlands Parish Council, you know, coming into forward their second year, you know, how we might look to sort of support the Parish Council in moving forward. I think that's something, you know, officers would be keen to talk to the parish about. I know Councillor Crichton isn't just with us at the moment, which is a shame, and obviously we can talk to him after this meeting separately and with others that are interested. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Julie. A bit of a surprise this morning, obviously, but yes, we need, I think, to talk to Councillor Crichton and the Parish Council members in taking the forum forward, if you like, now, because it's slightly changing. And a lot of the items today, obviously, Winchester are very involved and interested, but the Parish Council, I think, a lot of these items are under Parish Council heading, and I know the officers, and we will all continue to keep the forum going as long as possible. But I think, yes, we need to get together and have a talk now with the Parish Council. Having said that, Mike, I'm sure Councillor Reid, would you like to come in, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, sorry to hear that Chris is having to depart from us. Thank you very much for the help that you've given us over your short period of time. When I was in the chair, we went through this scenario at least twice because the whole thing was changing. And I remember talking to Steve Tilbury, who said that it is important that the forum continue on the basis that the fact that this was a joint exercise between Havant and Winchester City Council. Unlike many of the other major developments, this is one that's cross-boundary. And I think it's important that we, on the Winchester side, know what is being happening in the very small section, nonetheless, an important section of the west of Waterlooville that lies within the Havant boundary. So a question is that, will the applications be still coming to both councils for determination? Because don't forget, we have the Joint Planning Committee, which deals with cross-boundary with regard to Havant and Winchester in this particular locality. So that is my question.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Julie, can you answer that for us, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think it's something definitely we need as officers, both across Havant and Winchester, to follow up that discussion about the joint committee. We certainly haven't needed one on the books since, I think, 2018 or maybe 19. And then a lot of applications have been dealt with by your officers at the delegated level, whether that's at Winchester or Havant. Whether the joint committee continues, it's certainly not in our constitution this year with a date, but I know it is still in Havant, and again, I was talking to my counterpart Steve Weaver this morning about what we do with that and the arrangements going forward. And of course, there's that democratic sort of role, isn't there, across, as Councillor Reid said, across Havant and Winchester, in terms of if it's a Winchester, if it's in our patch, you know, obviously Havant have got quite a vested interest in that, and similarly vice versa. And it's about how we make sure all members are represented. And I think that's something Steve very much raised with me this morning, Steve Weaver. So I don't want to take, you know, that was a point Steve made very well. So I think it is something we'll need to think about. There is a statutory responsibility on any local planning authority anyway to consult with its adjacent partner. But I'd like to think we would be doing more than that in terms of our engagement roles across the two councils, Chair.
Thank you, Julie. Councillor Reid, did you want to come back, please?
Yes, if I may, Chair. I'm
Yep.
not quite sure I perfectly understood what Julie said about dates in diaries, because the dates in diaries are regulated by the applications coming in. So it's not a specific time, it's when an application comes in, then a date is made to pull together that joint planning committee. And I think what we've got to remember as well, that whilst Newlands has a parish council, not all of Newlands is covered by the parish council, only the Winchester area. And I think for members of Havant, I would be a bit concerned that things may be happening that they're possibly unaware of. So that was the reasoning why as I say, meetings were called according to an application received.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Reid. Julie, do you wish to come back on that?
Chairman, only that any councillor, within their patch can call an application to committee at any time. And as Councillor Reid said, there aren't any designated dates in the diary. And I think if we look at the constitution this year, it may well have come out of our constitution. It certainly hasn't come out of Havant's, and it's something we need to look at and think about. And I will need to consult with our chair of planning committee and our legal team to progress that matter. But I think, any application that's triggered by a member, any member in Winchester District has a right to call an application in their ward to committee. And as I say, we haven't had that triggered for quite a while on some of the current applications, and ward members are notified of those anyway. And I think we've got that good, strong dialogue, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Porter, did you wish to speak, please?
Thank you. I just think I think it's just been said actually that the principle of the forum carrying on was really to enable those communities to have that joint working on matters which were joint, and it would be almost a supply and demand basis rather than a regular meeting that has to be held on a regular footing. I fully understand as well, David, I don't think he's actually in the meeting yet, but his concern was there were matters that the parish couldn't manage on their own and that they would need the local authority as planning authorities to be there involved. And that's why he was specifically very keen for it to continue.
You're muted, Angela.
Councillor Cutler, sorry, did you raise your hand or is that in error, please?
No, this time it wasn't in error.
Right,
I just wanted to reinforce the importance of certainly Winchester City Council having a role in the liaison between Newlands and particularly with Havant, because Havant does not have parish councils and therefore does probably not recognise the status of parish councils to the same extent that we would within Winchester. So I think it's quite important for the City Council to continue to have a role in that liaison with Havant and assisting the parish council at this stage, with it being a fairly new parish council and not entirely developed community yet. And there are a number of issues that are collective issues. Councillor Porter's been very involved with the Ackwind side of things. That will have if it goes ahead in its current form, will have a significant effect on the MDA. It'll also have a significant effect on Pembroke, Waterlooville and Denmead. And so the importance of there being communication between the two authorities and also us backing up, I suppose, Newlands as a parish council, because it is relatively new and it probably would welcome some support. So I would be keen on the forum continuing in some form, but I think there does need to be discussion as to what form it takes.
Yeah, and may I say I completely agree with you. In some form, it should still continue, and I think we need to sit round and more discussion. Councillor Evans, I think you're keen to come in, please.
Yeah, just more of the same, really, Chairman. We've seen today that there's no public participation, so obviously there are no burning issues that members of the public want to talk to us about, but perhaps the chair of Newlands Parish Council was going to bring those forward. I do think it's time for a change. Yes, of course, we need to liaise and communicate. We, as chair of planning at Winchester, we did decide not to put the Western Waterlooville Planning Committee in our constitution this year because there has been no need for it. I can't remember the last application we had, but it certainly wasn't in this municipal year or the last municipal year. One thing that does bother me, Chairman, is the name of this area. So we've got West of Waterlooville, which is what we're under the guise of here, West of Waterlooville Forum. Then we've got Newlands Parish Council, and it is all very confusing, certainly confusing for lots of people. It's okay for us ward members, but I do think that needs to be addressed at some point, because we need to have a cohesive, perhaps, name for all of it. Perhaps David Crichton will want to come in on that. But I do think it's time for a change, and we just can't go on using the same format all the time. So I'll leave it to the new chair and the officers to discuss with Haven the best way forward.
Thank you, Councillor Evans, appreciated. Dave, any more contributions, please?
Councillor Hughes.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As somebody who has attended the forum as a private member of the public, as a chair of the Residents Association over here in Purbeck, I've also attended as a Havant Borough Councillor, and I now sit on this forum as a Hampshire County Councillor. And my observation today would be that the forum I joined 5 years ago is not the forum today. And the primary change since that time is the establishment of Newlands Parish Council. And I strongly suspect that the reasons why there's no public questions today is the fact that I would like to think that the representatives of the parish would have had those questions, and if David Crichton had been here, he would be able to present those on behalf of the residents. My second point would be that a lot of the stuff that David has listed in his email prior to today are what I would call low level, and not necessarily necessary to rise to the forum. They could be dealt with at parish level. If there's a specific issue with one of the authorities at the Winchester level, and if it's specific to Havant, there needs to be a mechanism to transfer that across to Havant. And to be fair to David, here I have in my inbox here 3 emails from him covering 3 different topics relating to issues in Newlands that he's asked me to look at from a Havant side of the fence, and I'm very happy to do so. So I do believe that the structure of the forum needs addressing, because I think it's more strategic now than it is local and tactical. So if we can have that discussion and find a mechanism that ensures that the low level stuff dealt with at the parish is dealt with, and if there's any issues, they are addressed at the appropriate level. And where there are strategic issues, and particularly the Joint Planning Committee, and I did attend one of those as the Havant representative, and they were very, what's the word I'm looking for, rare. I think I attended one, and they are convened as and when required, and I think that process works well, and we have a mechanism to ensure that the representation is there for either the 2 Winchester or Havant. I think that will move forward. And the final point I'd make is in relation to the fact that we talk about the West of Waterlooville and Newlands, I would also throw in the MDA, which is how the vast majority of people haven't referred to it. And of course, there's always the Beerwood estate. So there's 4 titles associated with the West of Waterlooville area, and they all mean slightly different things because of their geographical footprint. But if there is a mechanism to bring in identity to the whole area that makes everybody understand, not just internally but externally as well, that might be a benefit moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Any more, Dave, please?
Yes, Councillor Reid, I think, has an additional question.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Reid. Sorry, I missed that. Thank you.
Sorry, Chairman. Just a quick update. I've just been speaking to David. He's still got at least another 12 minutes before he might be able to join in. But from a parish council's point of view, based on what Councillor Hughes has just said, we have had no communication with the general public other than the normal day-to-day stuff, because that happens when a particular large application comes through the door. So day-to-day stuff, yes, parish council will deal with it in its own way, as any parish council would. But obviously when it's in Havant, and people sometimes get a bit blurred, hence the nameplates. So, as I say, David, another 12 minutes and you may well have his voice online as well.
Appreciated, thank you. Councillor Porter, your hand is raised. Is that from last time or did you wish to speak again?
Sorry, old hand.
Thank you. Any more, Dave, please?
Well, we've still got Councillor Cutler with a hand raised. I don't know whether that's a new contribution.
Oh,
yes. It is a new
thank
contribution,
you.
if I may. I mean, I'd just
Thank
like to
you,
concur
sir.
with Councillor Hughes's comments, and in particular, I think the one area strategically that we do need to work together, and that includes Hampshire County Council as well, is around particularly the Hambledon Road and the traffic situation through what is entirely on Havant land, but particularly affects Denmead as well. It is the traffic along the Hambledon Road and up to the centre of Waterlooville, and that really does need coordination between Havant, Winchester and Hampshire County Council. Mainly pressure on Hampshire County Council to do things, but a movement strategy, as we keep discussing in central Winchester, a movement strategy in this particular area would be quite useful.
Yes. Thank you. I agree, absolutely. And may I say, yes, I do concur with what Councillor Hughes was saying as well. Any more, Dave, please?
No more contributions, Chair.
So, Chris, did you wish to come back? Because are there any more on your list? I think there might be one or two other things.
There are one or two others, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for what it's worth, from an officer's perspective, I agree completely with many of the contributions as well. We do tend to be dealing with things that don't seem to fit this forum anymore. I think there must be a better way of dealing with lots of the matters that come up. And I'm sure we can figure out a way of sorting that out. The next item was exactly what Councillor Cutler was just talking about. I know Councillor Reid may wish to say something about that as well. It's about the traffic management in and around the development. We had similar issues at Barton Farm as well, that it needs a bit more thinking than was initially done in the planning application, and we're doing that, as Councillor Porter knows. And as Councillor Porter also knows, it's quite difficult to get Hampshire County Council to engage with us on those matters. And I'll more than happy to try and pursue that. I do know quite a few officers at Hampshire County Council now, but I think there must be a way of using a different type of forum to get those answers and those discussions going. I can see Councillor Reid's got a question there, Chair.
Councillor Reid, would you like to come in here?
Thank you, Joan. It's not so much a question, it's the fact that during my term as chair, I started this one off on the B2150 because of the increasing traffic, and we're not that far into the build out, and already I think all local members will agree the traffic along the B2150 Hambledon Road is getting pretty horrific. There are concerns which we raised with Hampshire County Council. Well, I raised with Hampshire County Council as the chair. Obviously, I'm not the chair anymore, and basically this is down to the chair to push through. So I'm looking to you, Chair, to be able to start these meetings off. Yep. Hampshire do seem exceedingly reluctant, and I think this is where the members of the County Council on the forum come into their own, because they are the only ones that can pressurise officers from their own organisation to start some sort of negotiations on the subject matter. There are three areas in particular. One is the Beerwood Gateway roundabout. We already know that sitting on a bus coming out of the Beerwood estate, I can sit on there for 8 or 10 minutes waiting to get out because the traffic is endless, virtually no matter what time of day you go there these days. The other one is dealing with Sickle Way closure. As we know, the planning application put this down for a closed road. However, if this is now closed, it may create some enormous problems with traffic going towards the Sunnymead Drive, because traffic will have to go into the estate through the Sunnymead Drive, and the talk of some better traffic system there, such as a mini roundabout, is something that needs to be talked about. But basically, as chair of this organisation, I think we need to get you together with the county council representatives and the officers to try and sort some way forward. It's now been 18 months, nearly 2 years since I started it. So over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Reid, and I can assure you, because I've made notes before the meeting as well on this, that talks will commence ASAP. You have my word on that, Councillor Reid, and so do the rest of the members. So thank you for that. Any more questions for Chris on that, Dave, please?
Yes, we have a hand raised from Councillor Hughes.
Councillor Hughes, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The traffic assessment for the MDA, as I prefer to call it, done in 2009, covered 1,026 pages and 17 junctions of what would need to be done to address the increase in traffic generated from that development. Within that document was a whole series of trigger points, i.e. the number of houses that were built in a certain area would result in an initiation of works to compensate for those additional properties and the cars coming from them. What has become apparently clear is that the traffic assessment and the trigger points were completely wrong. And so far, in my duties as Hampshire County Councillor and as a Havant Borough Councillor, we've worked with Highways at Hampshire to change those triggers. We've done it twice now, increasing the number of properties before any work has taken place. But what we've also done is worked with Hampshire Highways and asked them to change the timetable for some of those works. As a result, the College Way, Purbrook Way junction was done before the proposed traffic light scheme at the roundabout of Purbrook Way, Stakes Hill Road and Crookhorn Lane, because there's a general consensus over here that should you put traffic lights at that roundabout, you will create carnage, absolute carnage, particularly as you have 4 schools within 400 yards of one another, as you've got the drop off and the pickup problems. And it begs the question, in terms of the issues that are being raised with the B2150 and the concerns that have been raised, has anybody actually gone back to look at what the traffic assessment said would happen and the mitigation works that would be required to determine whether the mitigation works being proposed now are consistent with what was being identified in the traffic assessment? Because I do believe that if we're going to move forward, then the basis should be the traffic assessment itself to determine whether what was being considered is appropriate based on the analysis they did, albeit 10 years ago, but the actual proposals they put in place as mitigation might bear review. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. I've got a lot of work to do, I think, by the sound of it, but I'll be on the case soon. Any more, please?
I can send you the traffic assessment if you want it. I have it on soft copy, I think.
Yeah, okay. I'm all fine. That would be fine. Thank you. Any more, Dave, please?
Yes, Councillor Porter, the Cabinet Member at Winchester, wishes to make a contribution, and also Councillor Reid.
Right, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and I'm very sorry it's not allowing me to put anything on chat. I don't know why, but it isn't.
Right.
Same problem as Gary, actually. I just didn't say, I thought Gary's point was very well made. There are some issues there we can try and deal with the county, and we should involve the county councillor for your area as well, Patricia Sallard, to make sure that we do talk through this with the county. What we have discussed for other MDAs is to have certainly a delivery board with the county council, so that this conversation can continue constructively with them. And I have raised that subject only this week again with the county council. So I think that actually, as county councillors that are involved in this, Gary, it would be very useful if we could work together to make sure that we do get a realistic plan for what needs to be done in the future, rather than the expectation of what was going to happen 10 years ago. And also we have SIL funding, which we've been putting into projects. We want to make sure that SIL funding is spent and delivered. Thanks, Gary, for the thumbs up. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll email you separately and copy in Councillor Clear as chairman of this forum.
Absolutely ideal. Thank you, Councillor Porter, and we'll get going on it. So, Councillor Reid.
Just to say, Madam Chairman, that Councillor Briggs was aware of the traffic survey, and our first meetings were held in appertaining to that. I was invited as the chair of the forum in those days. Otherwise, it was the borough councillors from the surrounding areas who attended.
Oh, lovely. Okay, thank you. Appreciated. Any more, Dave, please?
No, there's no hands raised and there's nothing on chat either, Chair.
Thank you so much. Chris, do you have anything else? Brambles Farm access?
Yes, a brief comment on the previous discussion, if I may, Chair. With respect to colleagues Julie and Steve Weaver in particular, I think the planning system sometimes doesn't consider how things will be in the interim. I think Lisa Turley explained to us at a previous meeting that the Beerwood Roundabout will work fine when there's enough houses within the development to allow the traffic to be constant enough to be coming out of the development. But as Councillor Reid said at the moment, it can take ages to get out. So we haven't necessarily thought about what that means until 10 years time, when there's enough houses there to mean that roundabout works as it's designed to. And I think Councillor Hughes is right. We should be looking at things that, if they're not right at the moment, should be moved backwards. It's something we're doing at other MDAs as well. So I think there's definitely scope to have that conversation. Yes, Brambles Farm is the next item. Councillor Hughes may wish to comment on that. It's a sensible link towards Havant. And I understand the position on land ownership has been enlightened recently, so hopefully we can get that moving forward. I don't know if Councillor Hughes wishes to comment.
Councillor Hughes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I have seen the request from David Crichton in respect to this link. The issue is, although it's on technically Havant land, that land is on a very long-term lease to a company. And as a consequence, that raises a whole series of different issues. And our estates team are looking at that, because if we went to the leaseholders and we asked them if they could allow a footpath through there, they can actually say no, and there's nothing we can do about it. The second part is, if we do put permissive right through there and we decide we want to sell in the future, that could impact on what we do in the future with it. So we're being very cautious about it. That's why it's taking a bit of time. But the feedback I'm getting from Havant, they are reluctant to do any transfer of that access of the land in order to facilitate the access. So that may not be what the parish council wants to hear, but that is where we currently are at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, please? No, I don't think there are. So thank you, Councillor Hughes. That's appreciated. Chris, anything?
No, not on that, Chair. I was going to move on, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
The next item was the Winchester Havant border signage, which I think I've covered in previous comments.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the Aquin project, which I suppose Councillor Porter or Hughes may wish to comment on.
Councillor Porter, do you wish to comment on that, Quinn? Or Councillor Hughes?
Yes, sorry, just trying to get myself on so I can do it.
Thank you.
Just to say, we've had extensive conversations with Newlands, Denmead and Hambledon parish councils. And I know that our officer, Stephen Cornwell, has had a lot of conversations with Havant Borough Council about the Aquin application, but there has also been conversations going on between Havant, South Downs National Park, East Hants, and importantly Hampshire County Council, who are having who have employed counsel to advise them and to represent them at the public inquiry regarding the traffic impact of the works of the Aquin application. We have been trying to make sure that the public have access to the open hearings, and those open hearings are taking place in early December. But actually at the moment only parish councillors are taking part in those. But you'll also be aware of the Action Against Aquin group, who are being worked with by some of our district councillors as well, and we're very conscious of their progress as well. They're doing work particularly with Portsmouth, but they have started to extend their interest north, and that's very relevant for people in this area. I think it's the impact of the traffic when it's being built is the main concern to this forum, but also the impact of the building, which you would be able to see from this development, is also of prime concern to us at Winchester City Council.
Thank you so much. Councillor Hughes, did you wish to comment?
Yes, please, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
We have been aware of Aquin for quite some time. We have actually met, and I say we, the ward councillors in Purbrook, have actually met with the Aquin consultants. We even had the Aquin consultants have a stall at the local information fair run by the Residents Association here, where they were able to get as much information as possible. And we left them in absolutely no doubt of the carnage, the absolute carnage that would occur if they try and run that cable through the A3 through Purbrook. Absolute carnage. And without any shadow of doubt, their thrust for running it along what is essentially public land is because it's easier than running it, are seeking permissions to run it across private land. And that's the fact. And I've seen the response that Havant Borough Council gave to the consultation. I've seen the activities being undertaken by Portsmouth City Council and other authorities in relation to the impact. And it's quite clear that a lot of people do not understand the complexity of what it is they're trying to do. And I say that, for example, you get people saying, well, why don't they just run the cable straight up Langston Harbour and bring it ashore there? I have no appreciation that it's a specially protected area for nature conservation and the habitats regulations. We can't do that even if we wanted to. So there's a whole range of different criteria that has to be applied to this application. That said, if, and I say if, they were to change the routes that enabled it to go across the Southwark site, the Southwark estate and the Granger site in order to create minimal impact, getting it to where it is, I would be less concerned, because I genuinely believe that we need energy in this country, and I know Council Port is fully aware of my views on the need to have be an energy independent country. However, this would offer 5% power coming into this country, and you should not be sniffed at. However, sustainable development is all about the social, the economic, and the environmental, and this at the moment fails on all three. So I'm not quite sure how we can proceed with it. It does definitely cause me significant concerns, and I would be interested to see how the inquiry goes ahead.
Thank you very much. Blaise, may I say that with Councillor Porter and you, Councillor Hughes, I think we have two very good, excellent councillors on the case who will keep us updated, and well done to both of you for what you've done so far. Councillor Reid, did you wish to comment, please?
Thank you, Chairman. I think what the most concerning piece is the slight change. The fact that fibre has now been added to the application. This is an enormous problem because fibre, as we are all aware, is an element which many parts of the UK, especially down here in the south, are lacking. They haven't got the run speeds, and I'm wondering whether fibre being added to this application is actually going to create a bigger problem with its future than anything else.
If I may, Madam Chair, can I help?
Yes.
The fibre being proposed, I mean, it's not a single cable, it's two huge cables and a fibre. And they believe there's going to, even on a successful week, they will do 100 yards a week. 100 yards a week is what they're proposing. That's assuming they don't hit any hindrance.
Yeah.
It's fraught, absolutely fraught. We've only got to, if those of you that live over this side, I know there's very few, Just look at the Asda Roundabout at Bedhampton when they decided to put traffic lights there. What should have been a 6-month project lasted 21 months because when they dug up the road, they found things there that were not listed, they had no knowledge of, they're unaware of, they had to go back and find out if this cable was live, who owned it, who was responsible for it. So therefore, every time they tried to do something, it stopped. I have every suspicion and expectation that when they run this cable, if they try to run it down its planned route, they're going to hit obstacle and hindrance and constraint after constraint. And I think this will not be a quick installation. This will take an enormous amount of time and the upheaval will be inconceivable.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Yes. Julie, did you wish to come in? I thought I saw your hand.
Chair, Councillor Patel has put his hand up as well for this.
I apologise. Julie, I take Julie. Did you wish to speak, Julie?
Thank you, Chair.
No. Okay, thank you. You did? No.
No.
Councillor Patel.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me better this time?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I just like to echo what Councillor Hughes and Councillor Porter has been saying. And also, I remember having a meeting with Akin together with Councillor Hughes and Dave Crichton and team. And we did suggest them to use the Rangers site, whilst they're digging up. And I think what they came back with was we should really press it because I don't think they actually did a proper survey on why they cannot use the Rangers. And as Councillor Hughes said, the only reason they want to go up to 83 because it's easier.
Councillor Patel, I personally have lost you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Very faint.
Okay, I'll be quiet and I'll start. Must be my laptop. So I'll move on.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Councillor Patel. We would have appreciated it, but if you're having problems, then okay, we'll leave it there. Dave, any more, please?
Councillor Hughes has got his hand up still. I don't know whether he wanted to come back or that was an earlier contribution.
Sorry, earlier.
Thank you so much.
Okay. No, there's no contributions on chat now, and I think Councillor Patel has just made his statement. Thank you.
Okay. Lovely. So Chris, any more, please, sir?
Thank you, Chair. The last item that David Crichton mentioned was the request for Havant Borough Council for a litter bin outside the Premier store, which perhaps Councillor Patel would be kind enough to take forward or look at for us. I'll send her the reference.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have the reference. It's been looked at. It's on the customer service portal, so hopefully that'll be actioned in due course.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Appreciated.
Thank you, Chair.
If there are no more, sorry.
That's all from me, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, I'd like to say a big thank you to you for all you've done for the forum. It's very much appreciated. Sorry we won't be with you. I mean, you'll be still around, but you won't be with the forum. But may I say sincere thanks on behalf of all the members of the forum for your input. It's been very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
I take it Councillor Crichton is still not with us. No.
That is correct. Seen him on the list of participants, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Well, according to my agenda, ladies and gentlemen, that really is all for the agenda items. But may I say, I personally feel that it's been good this morning. We've discussed a lot, gone through a lot. Obviously, the structure of the forum has changed over the years. I think it's been going for about 16 years. If I'm incorrect, I apologise, but I think it's about that time. But I do strongly believe that we have to talk to parish council and Winchester councillors and Havant and all get together. The forum going forward, yes, but in a different format, I think, in the future. I will personally, Councillor Reid, keep on about the B2150. You've got my assurance on that, sir. But I think this morning we have covered a lot. I valued your input. It was very good. And I thank you very much indeed, and for all the councillors for attending. And if there is, and the officers, may I say, thank you for your work. And if you all agree, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the formal business for this meeting. And once again, thank you for attending. And I send my best wishes to you all and look forward to seeing you all very soon, I hope. But thank you very much indeed.